All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to picture this. You're hurtling along at 200 miles an hour. You're just inches away from a concrete wall, and you're doing all of this while in a constant high-speed left-hand turn. I mean, that's not just driving, right? That's a full-on battle against the laws of physics. And it's a battle that's won not with luck, but with some absolutely brilliant engineering. Today, we're going to break down exactly how these incredible machines manage to do what seems totally impossible. It really all starts with this one number. 4 Gs. That's 4 times the force of gravity, and it is constantly trying to rip the car right off the track and slam it into the wall. You know, for a driver, that feels like someone pushing down on their head with a 50-pound weight for hours. It's just this immense, relentless force, corner after corner.
So the big question is, how on earth do you generate enough force to fight back against that? How do you keep a 3,500-pound car glued to a banked oval at speeds that are faster than most airplanes take off at? I mean, this is the fundamental problem that NASCAR engineers have built their entire careers around solving.
And the answer? Well, it's not some single silver bullet. It's actually a perfectly balanced system of 3 totally interconnected forces. You've got the track itself with its banking, you have the car's body, which is sculpted to use the air to create downforce, and then you have the tires providing that final critical connection of mechanical grip. So let's break down how they all work together. First up, let's really get into the physics of what we're calling the 200-mile-per-hour problem. At its very core, this is a Physics 101 problem, but one with, life or death stakes. To make any kind of turn, you need something called centripetal force. That's the force pulling you towards the center of the curve. If you don't have enough of it, Newton's first law takes over, and the car's inertia basically just says, nope, I'm going straight. And straight means a very short trip right into the wall. And the numbers we're talking about here are just brutal. To keep a NASCAR car in a 200-mile-per-hour turn at a place like Daytona, you need to generate around 40,000 newtons of force. To put that in perspective, that's like having a force equal to 4 times the car's own weight just pushing it sideways through every single corner, lap after lap. So where does all that incredible force come from? Well, a massive part of the answer comes from learning how to manipulate something you can't even see, the air. It's all done through a concept called downforce. Now, the simplest way to think about it is that the entire car is engineered to be like an airplane wing, just flipped upside down. So instead of creating lift to fly, it's creating anti-lift, an invisible force that literally smashes the car down onto the pavement. Now get this. This is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. Look at how powerful that force is. A car that weighs 3,500 pounds just sitting in the garage effectively weighs 7,000 pounds when it's at top speed. It literally doubles its own weight. By doing that, you are dramatically increasing the potential for grip. Trust me, those aerodynamic bits and pieces are not just for looks, they are the absolute foundation of speed. And this is all achieved with a whole team of specialized parts working together. Up front, you've got the splitter, which uses low pressure to basically suck the nose of the car down. In the back, the spoiler acts like that inverted wing, planting the rear. And then the entire underbody is designed like a tunnel, speeding up the air underneath to create this powerful ground effect. They all have to work in perfect harmony to keep the car stable and pinned. Of course, all that downforce in the world is totally useless if you can't actually transfer it to the road. And that brings us to the science of grip. In other words, we've got to talk about the tires. This little symbol here, mu, represents the coefficient of friction. It's really just a fancy way of saying how sticky is it. Now, the tires on your road car probably have a mu of around 0.8. A Goodyear Eagle racing slick, when it's at the perfect temperature, is about a 1.4. That incredible difference in pure stickiness is what allows for these insane cornering forces. And this quote just brilliantly puts the stakes into perspective. 4 contact patches, 4 iPad screens. That's all that separates the driver from oblivion. I mean, just think about that. All of that multi-million-dollar engineering, all that incredible downforce, all that horsepower, it all has to be transmitted through 4 little patches of rubber, each one about the size of an iPad. It's such a tiny, critical connection point.
So yeah, managing these tires is a science all on its own. They only really work in this very specific, very narrow temperature and pressure window. If they're too cold, they just don't grip. Too hot, and they start to fall apart. So the race engineer's whole job is to somehow keep all 4 of those tires in that perfect sweet spot for hundreds of laps. It's a true knife-edge balancing act.
Okay, so we've got air pushing down, and we've got tires gripping the road. The third piece of this whole puzzle is the suspension.
That's the mechanical system that has to direct all of those powerful forces. You can almost think of the suspension as the car's mechanical brain or its nervous system. As the car dives into a corner, thousands of pounds of force are shifting and moving all over the place. The springs, the shocks, the control arms, they all have to manage that weight transfer with absolute precision. If it transfers too fast, the car spins. Too slow, and it just plows straight ahead and won't turn.
And one of NASCAR's most famous and honestly most elegant adjustments is something called wedge. It basically changes the car's handling balance by adjusting how much weight is sitting on the diagonal tires, the left front and the right rear. A really small change here can completely transform how the car feels, making it tighter, where the front end doesn't want to turn, or looser, where the back end feels like it's about to spin out. And what's really amazing is how they make this adjustment. During a frantic, chaotic pit stop, a crew member can reach through the rear window with this special long ratchet and with just a few quick turns, completely change the car's wedge. It's this high-precision engineering tweak that's performed in the middle of a high-speed ballet. It's incredible.
And that brings us perfectly to the ultimate synthesis of all this engineering, the pit stop itself. 11 seconds. Seriously, in about the time it takes you to tie your shoes, a world-class NASCAR pit crew can completely service an entire race car. It is the one moment where all the science and theory we've been talking about gets put into practice under the most intense pressure imaginable. In those 11 seconds, it's just this perfect flurry of activity. The team bolts on 4 new tires to get that maximum grip back. They dump in 20 gallons of fuel for power. They make that critical wedge adjustment to fine-tune the suspension balance for the next run. I mean, it is the ultimate real-world application of engineering theory.
So, the next time you see these cars flying into a corner, just remember everything that's going on under the surface. You've got the aerodynamics generating thousands of pounds of invisible force, the tires operating at their absolute thermal limit, and a suspension system that's translating all of it into pure speed. It really makes you wonder, are we watching a sport, or are we actually watching the world's fastest, most sophisticated science experiment unfold at 200 miles an hour?